Coaching in Session.
Your exclusive destination for unparalleled personal and professional growth.
With your host, Michael Rearden.
Whether you choose to live within limits or break free, your mindset journey begins here.
So picking up where we left off, we were talking about purpose and we were talking about vision and we're talking about mission. And it's going to be something that we're going to be talking about all week. And then we're going to be making sure the guest that comes on Friday is going to be talking about the same aspects of purpose and leadership. Because when we're trying to dive into this, we might need something that's going to be like a hammer effect, as I was saying. We need something that's going to reinforce what we learned. For example, when you're in first grade, learning how to do math for the first time, and you do some, addition, and you do 1 + 1 is 2 or something. Sure enough, you can say, yeah, now I know what 1 + 1 is, or now you know the patterns for how you add things together, but you keep on doing it. So the first day you do it, the next day you do some more, then you do some more and you get some worksheets and you do some more. And it's the repetition and the practice that get you good at it, not simply just knowing how to do it. You do it again and again and again, because anyone can read a book about how to do something, but it's not until they apply it to the practice that they can say, okay, now I'm beginning to understand it. I think of like learning an instrument. You might be able to play some scales and you play the scales. Sure enough, when you go very slowly, especially when you're like a beginner, you might just do like a C major scale. You go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. The way you play it might be very slow because you don't want to make any mistakes. And maybe you make a mistake. Maybe you hit the wrong key. Maybe you are not going in the right order. And I understand it can be very easy to do a C major scale because one of the beginner scales is an easy scale, but maybe it's not on the piano. Maybe it's on the guitar and you need to know how the guitar operates. It's like a puzzle in a sense, but it's literally, it's all uniform. So once you figure out how it operates, you can figure out where all the notes are on the guitar, but you're not going to know that quite yet. Even on the piano, there's going to be some pianos where they have the keys with labels and stickers, or it's all written in there. So you know where C is, you know where A is. And so you say, okay, this is what I now know. There's an aspect, though, of in order for us to create a melody in the beginning, it might be very choppy. But the more practice we apply to it, the clearer the melody gets. Because if you're playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, not in time, sure, you're playing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. But the moment you start to play in time and you have the accurate notes and the accurate timestamps, it sounds like the song. And so you're like, wow, I just played the song. Yeah, sure, before you played the song, but it wasn't in time. We can make what we do clearer. And when we do make it clear, everyone else can see, oh, wow, that's that song. Because if I play, just one note at a time, one note at a time, one note at a time, people might just, think I'm playing notes at a time or random notes at a time. But the reality was I was playing a song. It's just that I wasn't playing it in time. So the person couldn't realize, hey, that's that song. And in life, things happen that are very similar, where we are doing things, whether it be our purpose, our mission, our vision, but we're not doing it in time. We're not clear on what we're doing because our purpose today, we might be saying, I'm going to show up. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to take care of my family. And then before you know it, that clarity is gone because you are worried about other things now. You're worried about your business. You're worried about, the John next door or something, right? We are so busy in our world today. Now, this is not to say that, being busy is a bad thing, but it is a thing that you have to acclimate to and adjust. Our phones distract us so much, from our social media accounts to just our phones ringing in text messages from the people that we love, maybe. For my phone, I love to have it on silent. Like it's forever on silent. And if it is not on silent, it's because I need it to be on a ring for my family or something, but it is on silent. And if I happen to see it ringing or if I get a text, and sometimes texts are about 10, 15 minutes late, and sure enough, it doesn't matter, right? I'm going to get back to you if I want to get back to you. If you have no business talking to me, then we're not going to talk. Now, of course, you might say, hey, I need a consultation. Go to the website, sign up for a consultation. You want to call the business phone? Sure, call the business phone, leave a text message. You can leave a voicemail. All of those things are adequate, but you're not going to, just ring me and get me. I'm not available like that. I'm not available to people at a moment's whim. Like, hey, I want to call Michael. Hey, I want to talk to him. Of course, you can send me an email. I'm going to respond, but when I don't know, right? Social media, same thing. I don't know when I'm going to respond. But what I can tell you that is going to happen is I will respond, right? You will get a response from me because while you are asking for help, I'm busy with my purpose. I'm busy with my mission because my vision is to help people, of course, but then it's also not to stagnate waiting for a message that might never come. So I have to be very clear on the roles that I'm giving myself. So when you are creating that clarity, you have to figure out what is serving you. What are you trying to achieve? If the vision that you have for yourself is taking you where you need it to go, and then does everything that you do matter? Because the reality when it comes to clarity is many people, they are clear in the beginning, but then they begin to lose it as like an obstacle or like a web, and they get tied up and they're like, thought this is what I wanted, but then they realize it wasn't. So the common barriers that they have to face are they have too much information to deal with. And that's why I was talking about our phones. Our phones are just loaded with information. You have so much information at your fingertips that you don't know what to do with it, that you think you don't have any more time. One of the reasons why people say they don't have time is not because they don't have time. It's because they have so much stuff that they can be busy with that they do not have time. Because if you put your phone down and you turn your TV off, and we have rules, or I have rules, where we're not going to just watch TV all day or watch movies all day. If you want to watch TV or a movie, it is a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday event. Okay. Monday through Thursday, 100%. Let's focus, baby. Let's, read some books. Let's, learn. Let's talk. Let's go outside. Let's do something that is not only technology. Now, of course, you can use technology to learn still. Not saying that you can't pick up your phone and to do things or maybe watch a YouTube video when you need a chance to recharge. There's things that you can do and there's ways that can make it appropriate. But most people, they just abuse this power of technology. And that's why they are overloaded. Now, one of the main reasons why I think people don't take action or maybe become clear in their purpose and their mission, or maybe even the vision, is that they're afraid. They're afraid to take the first step. Maybe they're afraid to fail. There's people out there who are afraid of success. Like, how can you be afraid of the thing you want the most? Maybe people are not able to reflect on what they would like because they're so inundated by all the things that other people are doing and what other people are saying we need. We need maybe this, type of car. We need maybe these type of clothes. Of course, I'm definitely a person who has done that in my life. I know when I was a teen in high school. Luckily, I went to a private school, so we had uniforms. But every single time we had a dress down day, I had to pay a dollar. Sure enough, I got to dress up in new clothes. So if we had maybe, let's say, 10 dress down days a year, I would have 10 new outfits to buy. You got to buy new shoes and you got to buy a new t shirt and new jeans, maybe. What happens is you have a closet full of clothes that you might never wear again. styles change, right? So you can't even wear some of the clothes that you used to wear. But I say, you know, at some point, you just kind of not care. You say, you know what, I'm just going to wear this outfit again. And you wear it again. And sure enough, no one really cares. No one bats an eye because everyone is so busy on themselves. They're so distracted with themselves that they're not going to be looking at you with a fine tooth and comb unless they're your bully or something, right? You have a secret admirer. But, this is something that we have to look at the external pressures of what the world is going to tell you that you need will make you lose focus and lose clarity. Because if you just focus on your own thing right now, you say, I'm just going to focus on me. I'm just going to do me. I know sometimes you might hear people, like when they're breaking up, they might say, it's not you, it's me. I just want to focus on my life right now. Like I have a lot going on and it would feel unfair if I didn't focus on you. Well, guess what, people? You shouldn't be in a relationship where you focus on the other person anyway. Right? Oh, Michael, you should be focusing on the person. No, you shouldn't. Right? You should have two healthy people that do their own thing, that come together and they know how to come together and they create something amazing. For example, you make a soup, right? You have your chicken broth and you put all these ingredients in it. If you just have your chicken broth, yeah, sure, it's great. But when you add in all these other wonderful things, the rice, the chicken, the potatoes, the carrots, I'm saying you got a nice soup now. Before you might have said, I'm still yearning for something. I'm not full yet, right? I'm still hungry. And the reality is the broth wasn't enough. So we need to have those vegetables and that protein also to help fill us up. We had to get clear on the recipe. So the recipe is going to involve multiple aspects. Our life is going to involve multiple aspects. Our purpose is going to be multiple purposes. We're going to have multiple missions in our day. And we might have a vision that could be singular, but it could be multiple visions if we hold the visions of other people as well. Because maybe your vision is my vision. I know there's people who work for Fortune 500 companies who have no inclination to want to start a company. Now, this is not to say that this person's not ambitious, right? It's just that they have found a person that they would love to support their vision. Doesn't mean that that person doesn't have a vision. So they are working for a company in their vision. And you're going to find out that, many people who are working in these corporate jobs, they might not fully understand the purpose of the company or the mission of the company, or maybe the vision of the company. And this often creates discrepancies in the company where people don't show up or the company falters in some area. You need to get everyone on board. And that's the aspect of leadership. But we're going to be talking about that on the next episode, of course. So we need to give ourselves some strategies and some tools that we can utilize in order to become more clear, right? Because if we are just going to be, running around with our head cut off and we're not going to know what we truly want to do, and we're always going to be feeling stuck and we're always going to be feeling like there's something else out there, we need to get real clear on what we need to do very quickly. And one of the things you can do simply is just pause and reflect and saying, okay, let me take a step back. Let me just slow down. The world moves so fast, you don't need to move fast. You can just let everyone else run by you. Now, I'm not saying that like if you're in a race, you should just let people pass you for fun. But same aspect on the highway. Like if you are in the third lane and you're speeding, like keep on speeding. All right. But at some point, when you are out of the car and maybe you're around your kids and your family and maybe you are at the park or something, or you maybe going grocery shopping and you have no time constraints, to slow down, to pay attention, to look around. There's always something going on. You can reflect on that. The aspect of simplifying your focus in your life, because I think sometimes people, they complicate things more than things need to be complicated. If you are struggling in your relationship, talk more with each other. That's it. You don't have to go out and cheat, and you don't have to go out and make the other person jealous. And, like we can go down the list of what people do sometimes, like it makes no sense. But just have a communication, right? Just, say, hey, like, I'm going to be very simple and I'm just going to talk to you, right? Sometimes, people try to do too much when too much is not even necessary. All right. Think of like a person who has to move like this, this gum that I'm holding right now. If I had to just move it over here to this other side. But guess what? Maybe I take this gum and I throw it in the air and I throw it behind my back. And sure enough, I still put it back to exactly where it was. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't have fun doing all of that, but at some point you have to say, can I simplify some things? That's just a silly example of, me moving some gum, but you can ask yourself, can you simplify certain things in your life? Because if you can simplify things, things get clearer. All right. Imagine if someone was trying to teach you math or calculus and they were talking about all this nonsense and numbers and history. You're going to say, whoa, I don't even know where to begin. That's why a good teacher knows how to start. That's why a good teacher can say, all right, I see where you need to be. I see where you're struggling. Let's go there. Not just breezing through. I had terrible teachers at some points in my life where I'm like, hey, I don't know what this is. I don't know how to do it. Can you teach me? And they're like, no, 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 you should know. Look, it's just this because in their brain, it's simple. In their brain, it's easy. But in my brain, it's like, hey, I'm new. Can you teach me? So some teachers just can't see beyond that. Now, of course, those teachers can learn how to teach more effectively. They can say, okay, my students, they need help. This is what works for many of the students that are struggling, then sure, right? They get clear on how to educate. Well, that's just one way. Then we can get into other things like seeking feedback, taking small steps and stuff like that. But all of that is, common sense in a sense for you to say, hey, I need to be very clear on what I'm doing. One of the things I love to do is I love to journal. I love to write. I love to, get things out of my mind and on a piece of paper. Now, I have rules when it comes to journaling. I don't like to read what I write. Now, if I'm writing a book, it's different, right? If I write a book, then I will read it. If I write a blog, I will read the blog, but I will not read something I use to journal. Because if I'm trying to get clear, typically how I do it is I give that paper everything I don't need. I say, I don't need this, I don't need that, and I get rid of everything that doesn't serve me. I only keep what works. And then I get clear after. All right, where do I need to go? What do I need to do? Do I need to change? Do I need some help? Do I have to make some adjustments? Or do I keep on this path because I'm doing the right thing? Wherever I am, I figure it out. One of the things you have to do is you have to figure it out. You have to figure out, are you clear? Are you on track? Are you, doing what is necessary in your days? Or maybe you're wasting so much time. Now, this isn't for, not for me to determine. This is for you to determine. It is easy for you to, get clear on what you want. I know there was the movie The Notebook, and there was a scene of, the guy and the girl, and they're like arguing. I think what they was like saying, or, like his old movie, and I didn't really watch it. He was like, what do you want? What do you want? And she's like, I don't know. I don't know what I want. Right? That's love. But many people in life is the same aspect, right? Life is saying, what do you want? And you're like, I don't know. A coach might say, what do you want? And you say, I don't know. Your, your boss might say, what do you want? And you might say, I don't know. Right? You might say, I want a raise to your boss because, that person will give you a raise. Even if you got the raise, you know, doesn't make your life any clearer. Right? What are you going to do with the extra money? Do you know? Most people, they get some extra money and they just blow it, on a big screen TV. Look at what happens during tax season. So when people, they do their taxes and yeah, sure, you do your taxes and now You, have this extra money that you overpaid the government. So it's really your money interest free to the government. And guess what? You're like, I'm going to go buy a big screen TV because I need it, right? You should put that money in in some type of CD or mutual fund or, high yield savings account. You don't need that money, right? That money is just extra money, right? Because it's money that you could have invested and made compound interest, but you gave it to Uncle Sam instead. Well, neither here nor there, all right? People just can't take a large sum of money and do good with it. So it's, common sense to say that people can't get clear on their life because they have too much going on. And if they can say, you know what, I don't want all of this going on anymore, then you can start to focus. Think of like a minimalist. They know exactly where everything is. Hopefully, they can move through their home very easily. They know what they want, they know what they need. There's not a bunch of fluff in their life. Now, of course, you can acclimate to the fluff. We have a lot of fluff in this house. And it's so funny because even like if we move, I know most of these things that I have in my house, I'm going to get rid of. I'm just going to get rid of everything and I'm going to start fresh. And it's so nice to be able to start fresh. And, like I know it's more challenging when you like live in a home and you have kids and everything. And you're going to accumulate so many things. It's like, should you throw away the first drawing your kid gave you? Yes or no? All right. For me, as much as I will love to keep the drawings for all their life, I know at some point it's going to be meaningless to them, right? To me, it might mean something. I might say, this is their first drawing. Maybe I put it in a scrapbook, but I have so many photos, and thank goodness everything's digital because my mom was sending me pictures of, her growing up and family and us, just recently. And she has albums, hundreds, if not thousands of pictures. And I'm just in my head like, whoa, that's a lot of photos. My wife, she uses 60% of her 512 megabyte phone on pictures. So a lot of pictures, taking pictures of the kids or whatever. I use 40%. So I do a little bit less. Now, if I had that just clutter, all those pictures everywhere on the walls and on the floor, yes, I can look at them and I might smile, but it's also going to distract me. It's going to keep me away from what I need to be doing. So sometimes when you're trying to create clarity in your life, you have to declutter. You have to say, okay, this is what I need to focus on. You become so laser pinpointed that you're not only thinking about everything, you're thinking about the one thing. What is that one thing you must do right now? That one thing you must do today? The thing that is going to bring about the most meaning and have the most impact in your life. If you can figure that out, get clear on what you need to do, not just at that one point, but after that as well, right? We plan and we continue planning every step of the way. It doesn't stop just because we got clear for our Monday. We need to get clear for the whole week and the whole month and the whole year. And then we can get clear for what our life is truly meant to be. If you need help with that clarity, of course, reach out to us, revenconcepts.com. You can sign up for a consultation, begin the process to find what you're truly vying for in life. Sometimes creating clarity by yourself can be a challenge. It can be tedious. But when you have someone looking at all of your blind spots, the process becomes so much more manageable.